The 12 Houses, Howard Sasportas. Okay, this chapter is the moon and or Cancer through the houses. So we're focusing on the 6th house still, and we're on the moon, which correlates in terms of the sign with Cancer. So there are crossovers with how either the moon or Cancer show up. Express themselves with the 6th house, and the 6th house has correlations and connections with the Virgoan sign, Virgo, and so we're looking at earthy details of health and productivity and prosperity. It's the harvest time energy, so there's a work and diligence and industry aspect to careers with the 6th house. But interestingly with the moon, perhaps conversely with the moon, we have that changeable tidal characteristics and energy. Similarly with Cancer, there's a homely safety sort of anchoring at the hearth of the home, the center of the comfort zone, that place where you retreat to. The Cancerian crab hides under the rock, in the rock pool, at the back of the cave, in its shell. There's a lot of protection and safety variables connected with Cancer and the moon. And also that spiritual, emotional water energy that comes with the moon and Cancer, which connects with that femininity. Again, the womb is that sort of inner sanctum protection idea. So here we go, the moon in the 6th and Cancer in the 6th. Those with this placement find security and comfort attending to daily routine and administering to the needs of the body. Again, that 6th house idea. Daily rituals like making the morning coffee, taking tea at 4, and the bath last thing at night give them a feeling of continuity and therefore well-being. Physical health and their ability to function and cope with everyday contingencies will vary according to moods. Okay, the moon very connected with moods. It fluctuates, it waxes and it wanes. Start of the cycle, it's closed and it's a new moon in the dark, and then a couple of weeks later, quite quickly, relatively speaking, it's the full moon, showing itself, ta-da, exuberant and full. Aspects of the moon in this house reveal how successfully a person can contain the kinds of anxieties that crop up from day to day. A trine from Saturn could indicate, for instance, that the physical vessel is a hardy container, remaining steadfast in situations to which others might overreact. A square to Mars, though, suggests that the person acts out every little anxiety. The body just cannot contain or support the stress that quietly. There may be a connection between how the mother coped with daily tensions and the way in which this person does the same. Those kinds of illnesses which can be inherited or which run in the family should be noted, and preventative measures are worth taking. They should be careful about diet. Eating problems or overindulgence in alcohol could arise at the onset of emotional difficulties. The body has instinctual wisdom of its own, which they can learn to respect and recognize without too much effort. If they take this time to notice what their bodies register when they walk into a room or meet someone for the first time, they will realize just how much can be intuited through bodily sensations. It's a lot of feeling with the moon and Cancer. And similarly, that reflection characteristic of the moon is also very important and worth mentioning. So the moon doesn't generate its own light. It is a reflection of usually sunlight, or always sunlight. And so the moon has this almost taking its energy in a role model kind of way. So again, that mother energy is the obvious one to think of. The offspring reflects the characteristics, the energies, the idiosyncrasies, personalities, etc., of the mother first and foremost. Either parent too, sure, father too, and so. The idea of the Russian dolls springs to mind. The moon is repeating this reflective cycle again and again and again, depending on environmental conditions. But it's not necessarily the mother, and it's not necessarily beneficial or detrimental. We could be talking about teachers or mentors or friends or family members or counselors or partners. What is being taken on board to therefore be reflected from significant other people in one's life, and how does that show up via that moon's reflection, depending on where in that lunar cycle it is. Is the person with the moon aspect going inwards to the dark moon, really connecting in on who they are, their own drives and personalities, and therefore, as the moon then grows, that is reflected out. Or conversely, with that full reflective moon, what aspects of one's history and life's journey, in terms of with respect to other important, significant people, role models, this kind of character, to be reflected outwards. Just from my own experience, I find myself often with idiosyncrasies and mannerisms of my dad, even though it's kind of instinctive, subconscious stuff, deep in the emotional signature, that sort of download from precognitive early childhood is almost part of me too. It's reflected from my dad, and there are more conscious areas. Some parts of my mum and my dad I would choose to keep going, and other parts with this conscious, very sixth house Virgo and discernment, no thanks, I'm going to drop that one off. Yes please, I'll keep that one going. There is a need to feel emotionally engaged in work, usually a job which involves interaction with other people, so the job aspect, very sixth house, is better than working in too isolated a situation, perhaps no one to reflect one's progress and prosperity with, if you're working in isolation. Sometimes they find themselves entangled in the personal life of co-workers or servants. Those with the moon in the sixth are adept at fulfilling the practical and emotional needs of others, and are well suited to any employment in which they can play mother. Unresolved mother issues may be projected onto the dog or the cat. More seriously, a pet to love and care for, and who is there when they come home, could contribute both psychological and physical health. Again, that very idea of reflecting health from even a pet, very tied to the energy of the moon and to Cancer, especially at the home.